Good morning, everyone. Kevin with Flux here. Sorry for the late start. Thank you for joining me today in our overview on the Excel add-in. We'll be going over some tips for setting up and creating templates using the Excel add-in for Flux. If you should have any questions at any time during the webinar, please go ahead and type it in the question section. We'll go ahead and dedicate the last few minutes or so for questions and answers. So we'll be saving all of your questions for then. If we don't get to your question in time, we'll try to curate those and answer them offline. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. In this Excel add-in webinar, we'll be answering the following questions. How do I get started with the Excel add-in? How do I add linked tabs and data from other model types? How do I make pivot tables? How do I add my Excel template to card exports and live reports? And as I said earlier, there'll be a quick Q&A after the overview. So we're going to go ahead and briefly go over enabling the Excel add-in on your Flux site and how to download and edit templates once enabled. To learn more about Excel add-in basics, please go ahead and watch the Excel add-in webinar that could be found in our knowledge base. So the first step in using the Excel add-in is enabling the integration on your site. To do so, you're going to want to click into the admin panel, then go to Global Settings, and then scroll to the very bottom of the attributes panels that appear. Then you'll want to click the checkbox labeled Enable Beta Excel Reports. Make sure you go ahead and click Save before exiting the panel to save the changes that you've made. Then you're going to want to go back to the dashboard. And after you have enabled the Excel add-in in the admin panel, the option to open an Excel add-in card should be in your Add Cards menu. You'll want to click on the plus sign at the bottom of the dashboard to open that Add Card menu. And then under the Reports heading, you should see a link for Excel Report. Click this link to open a card with existing records, or simply click the plus sign to open a new record. Let's just open a new record for now. So as with other reporting tools in Flux, when you create a new report record, you'll be prompted to choose a model type on which to create your template. You'll want to choose the model that most of your fields will be coming from. You can choose to include fields from other model types when creating the template, so just choose the primary model type for now. In this webinar, we're going to go ahead and use the grant request model type to build our template. Once you have a new Excel report record open on your dashboard, you can name and add a description by filling in the boxes at the top of the card. Then you'll want to scroll down to the next section of the card and click the Flux add-in link in step 2 of the template tab. Please make sure you do not already have this add-in installed on the machine you're using, as this may cause problems when you try and edit your template. Now, once the add-in downloads to your computer, open the package and complete the installation. After you complete the installation steps, you should now be ready to download a template and begin working. A new template can be downloaded from the same section of the record as you downloaded the plugin. In step 3, under the Template tab, click on the link called Base Template. Once the template downloads, click on the file to open it. Once your template file opens, you'll notice a Flex tab in the ribbon of the file. You'll want to go ahead and click this tab. And once you arrive at the Flex tab, click on the Login button in the ribbon. Fill in the pop-up with the login credentials from your site. This is going to include your site URL, your username, and your password. Click Login once you've entered this information. Also, if you'd like more information about getting started with Excel Add-in, as I said earlier, please watch our other webinar, Excel Add-in Basics. Now, let's explore linked tabs. Generally speaking, linked tabs allows you to incorporate data from other model types. Linked tabs allow you to set up some templates that are able to display data from more than one model type within the same report. So say, for example, that you want to look at the percentage of total funds that went to each of your programs, but you also want to be able to see the specific details of each payment on another tab. This information can all be contained within the same report. Or let's say you want to look at grant records by ID number, program, and amount paid, but you also want on another sheet a way of looking at each payment date individually. We're going to go ahead and do that here. We begin with a spreadsheet with the fields base ID and program name, but we also want to look at the field amount paid as a sum for each record, but also as itemized payments on another tab. So to do so, we would first switch to aggregation in the Field Explorer. And then we're going to go ahead and add the field amount paid from the request transaction model type. After adding this to the field, to the sheet, we're actually going to have to add another sheet to our workbook. There. And after returning to the original sheet, we're going to click Create a Link tab from this relationship, and we're going to choose the sheet we just added. Then we're going to need to choose the aggregation type for the field on the main sheet. In this example, sum is the aggregation type, and this will create itemized payments on the new sheet and summed payments on the original sheet. Okay, switching gears here, the Excel add-in allows you to create pivot tables based on columns with variable amounts of data. To do this, you would first construct a table on one sheet containing the data you wish to include in your pivot table. You can then reference the data in the pivot table on another tab. So say, for example, you wish to look at the average amount recommended by the duration of months for the grant. To do so, you would first download a blank base template for a request model, open the document, and insert the fields amount recommended and duration in months. As you can see, we've done that here. Highlight the two columns by holding down the Shift button and clicking both columns. Then you'll go to the Insert tab in the ribbon, and you're going to click on the table icon. A Create Table pop-up should appear that contains the coordinates of both fields. Make sure this box contains all of your data, then check the box labeled My Table Has Headers. This is an important step and ensures that the Excel will treat the first row as a header row and the rows after to compute the data in the pivot table. Now you'll go ahead and click OK on the pop-up. Now make sure that both columns are highlighted again, and then click on the pivot table icon in the Insert tab of the ribbon. This should bring up a pop-up in where you can check to make sure that the table you created in the last slide is referenced in this pivot table. This should create the actual pivot table on your new tab within your workbook. Now, the new pivot table tab should open automatically when you click the OK button on the Builder pop-up. From here, you can predefine the setup of your fields. Make sure that you save any changes you make to your template and then upload the finished template document to the Excel report record in your Flux environment. If you would like to see stepwise instructions for setting up a pivot table, please go ahead and visit the knowledge base. We have an article on that as well. Now, would you like the ability to add a custom Excel template to the live report menu or as a card export? Well, once you enable the Excel add-in on your Flex site, you can configure any template to appear as options in these lists. So to add the template you just created to the live report menu, first make sure that the Excel report record is in the edit state. From there, switch to the Advanced tab at the bottom of the record. By clicking the checkbox next to Show in Live Reports list, this template will then appear in your Live Reports list on your site. Now, to move the template to the card export list, instead check the box just below the live report box. This will allow the template to appear in the card export list when you click the Excel icon in the Action tab of whichever model type the template was created on. You can add as many of templates to either location as necessary. Okay, that's going to conclude today's webinar on the Excel add-in, and I hope you enjoyed it. If there's any features that I did not cover extensively, we'll be hosting trainings in the future to address these features. You may also learn about any of these features by visiting our knowledge base. So let's go ahead and open it up to some questions. Okay, looks like we have one question here. What do we put in terms of login credentials when you log into the Excel add-in? It's pretty similar to the Word add-in. You just need to use your URL and then the same credentials that you log into every day. And it looks like that might be the last question rolling in there. If I missed any, we'll go ahead and try to answer that offline. But just keep in mind, you'll be able to find the video recordings of this webinar as well as past webinars on our knowledge base. Just to recap, today we went over how to get started with the Excel add-in, how do we include tabs and data from other model types, how do I make a pivot table, and how do I add my Excel templates to card exports and live reports. To learn more and access the video recording of this webinar, please go ahead and visit our knowledge base at flux.io/knowledge. There you'll be able to find a list of upcoming webinars, links to register for future webinars, and recordings of past webinars under training webinars. Or, of course, feel free to ask for support, and we'll be happy to help. Thanks again for joining us today, and we hope to host you at our next training. Have a great day.